I've always been this, like, I always chase perfection, right? I mean, it's like,
Right.
it's probably not a good thing, but it also holds you to the highest standard because you want to be the best. So for the first 8 months, I literally wanted to perfect the sunglass. Like before we even had a product, like I spent so much wasted time trying to perfect our product before we even came to market,
Right.
you know, and they say if your product's perfect, you waited too long to launch. Right.
Right.
So for me, I had a realization when I got approval from, you know, San Diego State. I met with one of the entrepreneur guys out there,
Right.
and you know, he mentioned to me, like, Chase, what are you doing? Like, why are you spending so much time trying to perfect this? So so I did that. You know, I launched, and our logo was like far below where it was supposed to be placed once we first launched. And I was like, oh my God, we're not going to make it because our logo is like a centimeter below where it was supposed to be. And I was just getting so caught up in all this like crap that like was so, it was just minutia. It wasn't, there was no real like logic behind it. You know, I was just trying to perfect this, and that slowed me down, man. That slowed me down. And I wasted a lot of time doing that. So that's some advice I would also give. Like, just go start. Like, you know, you're going to reinvent your brand. You're going to reinvent your product a million times. And it's important that you don't waste like valuable time doing that. So for me, that was a big learning lesson. And, you know, as you get customers, as you start to expand, you start to learn so much from them. Right.
I think that's really hard to do though. I'm sorry to jump in, but I think from everything because I've gone through the same thing, right? Like every time you build a business, I think it's just, you want it to be perfect and you don't want people to think less of you because it's an extension of you that you're building. It's like, you know, it's your baby. So from what I've seen, it makes sense to get sort of like a trusted friend to tell you, stop working on it, release it. Because somehow I think it's very hard for you to do that yourself. I don't know if that makes sense, because it sounds like your friend did that for you.
Yeah. And like when you're so close to it all the time, like you're just like, you become so caught up in it, you know, and you just kind of lose focus. But those details really don't matter. Right. And if you're starting from the ground up, you know, it's okay. Like your customers are going to work with you. Like they know you're just starting. Like you're going to develop that trust. Like we put out tons of bad product at the beginning, but we were transparent. We were open about it. We were like, this is our first business. You know, we're going to be big one day, but just work with us. And, you know, if you take care of your customers and you're honest and you have good integrity and you're genuine, you know, it's okay. They're going to work with you through, and they're going to stay with you. However, in today's day and age, a bad product is a bad product, you know, and you can't put out a bad product because word of mouth and, you know, social media, everyone has a voice and it just travels way faster. So you do got to put out a good product. Probably a lot more now than once we started.
So really, I guess the key here is good enough, and what the definition is really up to you and up to your customer. But like, don't try to be too perfect, but you also don't want to release total crap.
Totally, yeah. Exactly.
I know that's not very helpful to everyone listening, but you know, I think it really depends on your niche, right? I guess, like, you know, for instance, there's some really obvious ones. Like if you were doing, I don't know, medical stuff, then obviously it has to be really, really good. But if you're doing a product which can afford to fail and you could just replace it in case it does fail, then that's cool. Like it reduces the barrier of, so figure out what that level is for you in your industry, right?
Totally. Yeah. And you're gonna make it better. You know, you're gonna reinvent it. You're gonna refine it. You know, it's like a website. It's never done. You know, your product's never done.
Right. One of the things which I'm learning these days with marketing is that, like, you know, you started a while ago, but marketing itself seems to have changed a lot, where it's no longer so much about the product, but it seems to be really more about building relationships, building that identity, and people really want to sort of express themselves with the product that they get. You mentioned, you know, even without having any, like a product, you had 2,000 fans on Facebook, and then you went to Instagram, where people were just sort of like wanting, I guess, the lifestyle. Like you guys are really going up to San Diego. What are sort of some tips, because you guys are clearly executing on that pretty well. So any like tips or sort of maybe some 101s that you can share with people building a brand today and how to achieve that? Or maybe first of all, do you agree with what I said? And if you do,
No, absolutely. I mean, it's all about connection, you know, especially even in this time that we're in now. It's like connection is more important than ever before. People do want to express themselves. People do want to be, you know, individual, but they want to be part of a community, right? And if you can build a brand that has a community behind it, that has a mission, that has a social sharing aspect to it, is critical, right? I think that's where things really can like start organically working for you in a good way. You know, your product has to be shareable. It has to be something people can take photos in, people can talk about. You know, for us, we always try to wow everything we do. We try and create wow experiences. And even if that's like the brightest sunglasses we can make, like that's a showstopper on the street. People are going to stop you and say, yo, where'd you get those? Those are cool. Like conversation starters are what we go for.
right.
And the voice and the team behind the brand, the culture you build, like it's not just like posting your products online and posting photos on Instagram. Like there's so much backstage that happens, like interacting with the customers, surveys, feedback, you know, comments, like people, that's how you get people these days. That's how people like you, you know? And building a brand identity is not hiding behind your logo. You know, it's coming out and it's being open and transparent and showing people like who you are, you know? And it's not just painting the picture of this beautiful life. Like it's humanizing things, right? It's talking about the story, talking about the people that work for you, like connecting and relating to people. I mean, that's what social media is all about now. So if you can build a brand that focus on those things, like you're going to be in good shape.